Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in the room on this Sunday evening. How are you all doing? I'm trying to turn my camera a little bit. How are you guys all doing on today? I pray that you all got out and got you some word. Please come on in the room on today. I would first like to say that I do not own the copyrights to the music playing in the background. And second of all, I would like to say that all three of my books are still available for ordering. My first book is a prayer journal for widows only. It's a 31-day prayer journal. And the feedback that I just got from this one was so encouraging to me from my sister Laura. She purchased this from me not long ago, and she's already finished it. She went through it and just blessed me with her testimony of how it blessed her. Again, it's God's Love for the Grieving Widow. And also, my YouTube page is God's Love for the Grieving Widow. Go over and check it out, you guys. And give me a like, subscribe, give me a thumbs up, a thumbs down, leave me a comment. It would greatly, it would help my page, my YouTube page a lot. And so I would greatly appreciate that. My second book is There is Beauty in My Brokenness. These books all can be ordered either through myself or Amazon. If you have it already, can you be a testimony to let the people know what a blessing it was to you, or just let them know, give a testimony line of how it blessed you, or if it didn't bless you, but I'm sure that it did. There is Beauty in My Brokenness. It's the story of my late husband, Reginald, from the beginning of our marriage, our beginning of us getting together until death did us part. Again, there is Beauty in Our Brokenness. It tells the story of where we met, how we met, and how long we were married up until his death. And so, again, there is Beauty in My Brokenness. And again, you guys, please like, tag, and share this video. I would greatly appreciate it. The third book is No Man Plans to Fail, but Many Fail to Plan, Divine Direction and Connection. Now, this one right here is telling the story of me going through probate after becoming a widow unexpectedly. And me just wanting to give the information to the people and let you all know the importance of getting your affairs in place and together before and even after loss if you don't have your things together. This book has a lot of information in it, and I'm also working on a workbook that I will be able to let you know exactly what you need to do in order to get your things in place and in order, get your household together. And so, again, all three books can be ordered through myself or either Amazon, you guys. Again, I would greatly appreciate it, and I'd just be so thankful because it would be a blessing to me if you were to purchase them. And it will be a blessing to you as well if you were able to get a chance to purchase them. Those of you that have already purchased them, please go back and read them. Listen, I have everybody's book. In my ministry, almost everyone has written a book. It's a lot of us. And so I have not gotten a chance to get back in there and get to reading and doing things like that. Hey sis, getting to read and go back to the books. My sister Josephine just gave me a book, and I was looking at it as I was sitting in the parking lot today, and it's pretty nice. I like it a lot. And so I wanted to come on to talk to you. I don't know exactly what I was going to come on to talk to you about, And so I was asking the Holy Spirit, what do you have to say today? So I want to be led by the Spirit as I was trying to think of what did I want to talk to you guys about today. And so I kind of went back to thinking about investments, things that our spouses may have invested in. You may have investments, you may have stocks and different things like that. And you may think that automatically that you have you have a beneficiary on those accounts. Like I was talking to my cousin and she kept telling me that you can't even open them without having those beneficiaries. And so that is not true because my husband had multiple stocks and different things like that had no beneficiaries on them. So I want to pique your interest to go back and check to make sure that all accounts have beneficiaries on there. If you have already lost your spouse already, then you want to go back and make sure that you remove that spouse, because if you don't have a trust and you don't have anything at all, then your family will be faced with going through probate. And so if you have, they call it the SpaceX, if you have an IPO stocks, if you have ESP shares with mortgage, with stand, how do you say it? Because there's so many different ones my husband had, like with Morgan Stanley, different accounts like that. You want to go back, because what happens is if you were to become incapacitated and you needed that income, or you needed to be able to retrieve that income while they're not here, while they're incapacitated, you're going to have to go to court and ask for a conservative over the finances. And that's even a spouse if you don't have your you down as a beneficiary or a next person to go into place. So it's a good idea for you to put your stocks and everything in the name of the trust as beneficiaries. And then that way, when you pass away, say for instance, if you have young children and you pass away, and your young children have to have this, they cannot be able to receive the money until after they come a certain age. Well, they will be able to get their inheritance all in one lump sum. But if you put it in the name of the trust, then the trust and the trustee will be able to delegate and say, hey, you know what, I want Bobby Joe to have money for to get a Honda and not a Porsche, so you will be able to kind of dictate how the money is spent if you are divorced, or if you have lost your spouse already and you don't have the beneficiaries on there. Then what's going to happen is you're going to find yourself in probate. And so you want to avoid probate at all costs, because when you are in, especially in California, because we live in community property states, you want to make sure that you, have these things in place, especially if you are, newly married, or you guys did not, or if you faced with a divorce, or your children are faced with a divorce, or either you've lost your spouse already and you've gotten remarried, and you don't want you don't want to disinherit your children to not being able to have these things. So it's a good idea to get a revocable living trust and to put these things inside of the trust, make the trust as the beneficiaries. And then all of your wishes will continue to go as you plan. Otherwise, if you just leave it open to the system where maybe your spouse gets remarried, then you disinherit your children, because in California, it's community property. So it will go to that new spouse, the things that you and your previous spouse worked for so hard. And so you want to keep it in the family, right? You don't want to disinherit your family from being able to get the benefits that you and your spouse worked so hard for. The other thing is to go ahead and look into getting your power of attorney as soon as possible, because we just never know. I was listening to Pastor Paul had taught at our church today, and as I was listening to him and his wife saying that there was a family that had died unexpectedly, and one was still fighting for their lives. And I don't know, you guys know if you guys know, but I had put my son on. It was a bad accident that happened that he went to, and he's still really bothered behind it. But it just goes to show you that we don't know, right? We don't know what can happen, and because we are Christians does not mean that we are exempt from car accidents or events that happen that we never expected to happen. And so that's why it's so important that you go and get your power of attorney done, because we never know. If we are incapacitated, we cannot continue on with our lives. Our loved ones will not be able to continue to pay bills as usual. And so I was listening to this video. This is just came back to my mind. I was listening to this video. I think it's called Widow Wives or something like that. And so what they do is they have done many studies that have said this is what happens to you, you know, and you're not crazy or anything, but this is what happens during this season of our lives of losing our spouses. And so as I was looking at that, they said, you know, you lose your income, that second income, immediately when you lose your spouse. And so, and that the bills continue to keep going, right? So they have no sympathy for you. They have no regards for you. It takes you to be the responsible party to make sure that you get your affairs in order and together, so that your loved ones will not be grieving and at the same time trying to figure out what to do, how they're going to do it, right? And so you guys have heard me say several times before, some of you may not have heard me say this, but you have to be 60 years old in order to receive your spouse's benefits, unless you have maybe the 401k, right? And so, and I had just learned that in order to get remarried, if you get remarried and you give up your spouse's that 401k, if you're not 70 years old, then you're going to be giving up your benefits that were due to you. And so, hey sis. So, you know, I was like, God, there's so many different rules and stipulations and different things like that. But so I just try to come on to tell you guys, do the best that I can do as far as telling you the importance of getting our affairs together in order. Back again to those shares and different things like that, you have to make sure that you have beneficiaries. Go back and check it, because a lot of times I have spoken to people that have said, yeah, my name is on the account. Yeah, my husband told me my name is on the account. Go back and check it. Go back and check and make sure that you have some life insurance. they're aging people out. Like my mom just turned 90, and so she had to get other in new insurance because she had aged out from the insurance. So go back and check it, especially those of you that still have your parents here and are your loved ones that are getting up in age. Go back and check to make sure that your policy is still good, that in the event that your loved one is to pass away, that you would have some insurance. Again, check out that mortgage protection, because listen, let me tell you something. That is one thing that I'm still looking for, and I'm praying to God that if my husband had it, that it comes up, where, because they won't call you, you have to call them. So if you have any insurance, there were maybe two people that called me, but for the most part, my husband had insurance that I didn't know about, that I lost because I didn't know about that insurance. So have the hard conversations. Tell them, I'm sure it's nothing intentional that he did, that he didn't have a conversation. He had me in mind because I was the beneficiary, but because we didn't have the conversation, I lost insurance money. And so I know, because of the fact that he had extra insurance other than what I knew about, that he had every bit of great intentions for it to be for me to help me along the way, because he knew that I had insurance. We had insurance. We've had insurance for years, and I was the one that took care of the insurance. Well, I assumed all these years that that was the only insurance policy that we had. And so have the hard conversations with your loved ones. Check and see if your insurance is current. I have met widows that had insurance, and spouse did not pay for their insurance, and so they no longer had it. So you need to have that hard conversation with your loved one. Tell them to show it to you. Say, hey babe, where are we at? We need to have those conversations. Had not I been inquisitive about what was going on in my household, then I would have been out of this house today. I wouldn't have been able to stay here if I just sat back and didn't, because everything is going smooth. You assume that everything is going good. But had not I been inquisitive and asked my husband, hey, where are we at? What's the status? Because it's something about that's in them. The men in my life were hard workers. And I realized that this weight of taking care of a family and being a man is it's tough. I know it's tough. And I take my hat off to the men in my life, because they were such providers. My brother, my dad, my husband, just such providers. I don't know nothing else but that, right? And so when you're in that place of, trying to thrive and survive this thing on your own with the help of God, it can be pretty rough. So you want to have that conversation with them and say, hey, where are we at? Because guess what? With me saying, where are we at? That's how I ended up finding out who my mortgage company was, how much my mortgage was. Had not I asked him, hey, what's going on? What's happening in the household? Where are we at? Are we good? And he said, well, I said, okay, I tell you what, since I won't say not man enough, but it's something about that pride of taking care of your family that my husband had, that was like, he wouldn't tell me, hey, I need a little help. And I could have helped him. And when I did try to help him or give him, he wouldn't take it. So it was like, okay, now here it is, we're in a bind. I'm your helpmeet. So had you just said, hey babe, you know what? I don't have it. So I decided in that May of 2021, okay, I tell you what, since you can't seem to bring it to yourself to say that I need a little help, I'll take over the bills. This was actually my husband's first time ever doing the bills out of the whole 34-year marriage. And so I said, I tell you what, babe, I'll take over the bills, and you give me the money and I'll make sure that it happens. I'll make sure everything is covered. And so that way, that was a way of me saying, hey, if there's a lack, I know where that lack is and I can kick in to take care of it. And that's what I did. And so because we had got that supplemental tax bill that was, I think it was like $2,500, and they gave us 30 days to come up with that money. And I just the word taxes was so scary to me that I was like, you know what, I got to figure out how to do this. So I went ahead and paid it because I realized as the days were getting closer to the due date that he didn't have it. And so I went ahead and paid it. And so he was like, well, man, I'm going to pay you back. And I'm thinking, babe, you ain't got to pay me back. You have been providing for us and I got you. And so that is how, again, I found out who our mortgage company was. Had not I been seeing that mail come in the mail and I asked him the question, then we would have been behind on the taxes. I wouldn't have known who my mortgage was. I didn't know how much my mortgage was. And so have those conversations. Even if the best person is the one paying the bills, still have the conversation anyway. And just say, you know what, if something happens to me, and say for instance, if something happens to me, here is my information, especially if they're the ones that's paying all the bills online and then you don't have that email address. You don't know how to pay anything. My husband did everything online, so everything was locked into his phone, his email address. And so I ended up having to, when I was calling the bank for the house and different things like that, because I knew in the back of my mind that they could have pulled the loan from me. And that was my biggest fear, is for them to pull the loan on me, because the loan was in my husband's name solely. And so, have that conversation, write those things down. Even with the banks, we just didn't even think about, is there a beneficiary on there? We didn't think about it. We had these bank accounts forever. One account he had, I had been using for over 20 years, and they made me close that account. But at the same time, we would go to the bank together. He would give me his card. I put the number in, but I didn't remember the card. So you may be at a point where you need to remember that card number, because if you're not on that bank account, you may be able to go to the bank and, get the money out of the account before, if there's a probate open. Because when you open up the probate, your whole life is on hold until after. And the probates run from anywhere from 2 to 5 to 6 years. And so how are you going to pay your bills if your bank accounts are locked up in the account until after the probate is finished? So, there is ways that you can kind of navigate this thing if you did not take the time to get your affairs in order before. Like me, for instance, I did a lot of the banking stuff before I actually opened up that probate, because guess what, you guys, if I had to open that probate up and I did it after the probate. And so if they wanted to, they could have said, hey, you know what's in the estate? They're gonna say that. They're gonna come after you because they know that you're very vulnerable. You are in a very vulnerable state when you first lose your spouse. You don't know what you're doing. They're calling you. They're bombarding you about their bills and everything else. And then you got all these people that are talking in your ear. You ain't got to pay them. You ain't got to do this. You don't have to do that. And you're confused. You don't know what to do. Some widows I have met have paid their spouses debt, and some, you know, use their insurance money or their savings to pay the medical bills, where because they're coming after you right as soon as they pass away, like everything is due right away. There is no waiting time at all. They give you no grace for losing your loved one, none at all. And so you know, you want to make sure that you have that hard conversation. Go back and check your things. Even if you think you got it right, it's all right to go back and check it again to make sure that that you have beneficiaries. And again, if you have those SpaceX and that IPO stocks, the ESP shares, mortgage, Stanley Morgan, and different accounts like that, it might be good for you to go ahead and make sure that you have the beneficiaries, but maybe put it in your trust. If you were to get your trust, put it in the beneficiary in the name of the trust. That way you will cover it from your children, your adult children, if they may face divorce and they inherit that money. That money is, if they put it in a joint account, then that ex-spouse is able to have access to what was put in the joint account. And so you want to make sure that you go back and take your ex-spouses off of everything that is that you had down as beneficiaries, okay? Remember that, you guys. That's very important, because I have spoken to a lot of people that have lost their loved ones. They don't even want to give you, I mean, they've lost the loved one, they were divorced, they don't even want to give up the money for the service. They don't care about, you know, they had a bad divorce, I'm taking this money, I'm the one that deserve it, and it's not right. It doesn't make it right. But guess what? If you don't make it right, then they're gonna just trample over everything that you worked so hard for. And so the other thing that I would suggest is to get mortgage protection. You may be someone that think that mortgage protection is too expensive, but let me tell you guys, we do what we want to do. We think that certain things are too expensive because we don't feel like it's important enough. But let me tell you something, your family is going to be in trouble. It's going to be all discombobulated, and it's not going to be good. That say, for instance, if you leave here and you do not have these things in place and in order, you want to leave it where it is, you know, it goes smoothly. It's enough that they have lost you. And so you want to make sure that it goes smoothly. You do not want your children to have to go through probate. You do not want your children fighting your blended family children. Life, after this life, when people die, it brings about a change in people. I've heard from someone that said after they lost their spouse, the loved ones that used to be close to them told them, this is where the pit stops. We have no more relationship, where they had a good relationship when the person was here. And so death brings out the worst in people. Even those that you think you can trust will turn on those people. And so that's why I did my trust the way that I did my trust. Because you know your children. And sometimes, even when you know your children, they can go another way on you. So you just want to make sure that you put things in place and together. Again, back to the mortgage protection. You may be like myself, or just take an evaluation of the fact that if you were to lose your spouse, or if your spouse was to lose you, because it's not always the man that were the breadwinners. There are some women that are the breadwinners. Will your loved one, if you were to lose them today, would you be able to keep afloat, or would you have to relocate and find somewhere to move and sell your home because you can't afford your mortgage by yourself? Especially again, if you're not 60 yet, you will not be able to get your spouse's income. You will not be able to get your widow's benefits unless you have children that are underage, and or if you're 50, at least 50, and disabled. That those are two ways that you can still get your spouse's money before 60. But other than that, if you're a young widow, if you're in your 30s, your 40s, you will not be able to get it, especially if your children are adult children. You will not be able to get it. So can you keep afloat? Will you be able to afford the mortgage by yourself? The other thing is, will your children be able to afford the mortgage? That is something that I often think about. At the same time, I don't have the same type of, I don't know if it's because my husband is no longer here, but I don't really care if my children choose to sell the home if they can't afford to keep the home. But that's a conversation to have. Can they afford to keep it? Also, that's just something to think about. Just see life on that for a few moments. Will I be able to stay in this house? Because I had two men tell me when my husband passed, you know what? My wife ain't gonna be able to stay in that house if something happens to me. So, wow. If you already know that, then why wouldn't you get some mortgage protection and spend a couple of $100 extra a month so that you can protect yourself even if you were to become incapacitated and can't work? I often say this, that I don't know if we would still be able to stay in our home if my husband had survived and still been here in the condition that he was in. And so that made me think about, well, I wish we had mortgage protection. And I still don't know, because of kind of the way he moved. He possibly could have had it and I haven't found it. And so, it's important that we have it. And listen, I know we don't want to pay for the extra stuff, but it's so important. I wish I had have been educated on the importance of having this mortgage protection, and even if it was on me to take care of that portion. I just wish we would have had it, not knowing that I was going to lose him, but just to be protected, because it's difficult when your income doesn't match. How did they say you have more month than money? And so it's difficult. It's another reason why you're up at night. I can say sometimes God has been good. He has provided. He has been right on time. Even if I've had to wait, he's been right on time. But I think it's just uncomfortable for me because I'm in a place that I've never been in before. And so as I'm, learning and still trusting God at the same time, because this is a new place for me, to, be a little worried, if I can be transparent. But I still trust God. I still trust God. It's just, I was a person that was a really bad worrier. I'm not as bad as I used to be, but I was, oh my God, I worried about everything, everybody. kids, grandkids, everybody else who I didn't even know I worried about people. It's just the way God geared me up. And I always say that I have the heart of my father. And so, God loves hard, and I just love hard. And so things that happen to other people tend to concern me. And so, in that being said, I seen one of my sisters at church today that I hadn't seen in a while, and I hadn't spoke to in a good while. And I was just telling her, I said, she said, well, you know what? Life has just been life, and I've just been losing people, and I'm just trying to sit still. And so, what I sense from her is that. Um, uh, I don't know if it's a depression or it's like death has been heavy on us all, I think. Life has been heavy on us all. The atmosphere of the world today and different things like that has been heavy. And so I told her, I said, well, I've been having a little struggle with prayer and feeling like not myself lately, and so I don't know what that is, but I'm praying and believing and trusting God. And as Pastor Paul came in and spoke on today, as far as putting the enemy in his place, in his right place, because we win, right? Everything, Christ has did it all for us. He has paid it all for us. And so you have to go back to what the word says. So what does the word say about my situation? What does the word say about your situation? And then we have to go back to the footprint of the beginning of, what was said about how we're supposed to contain ourselves. And I think about this, like, this just came to me, how God has given us this stewardship over these things, over what they call the American dream, of having a house and all of that. And so you have all of those things. And as my sister on here, Sister Carlotta on here, her husband now is in a facility, and we don't never know, right? We never know what life brings us. At the same time, when you had all that joy and we enjoyed cooking for our spouses and different things like that, and you think about it and you'll say, I say to myself sometimes, Lord, thank you that you thought that I had enough good stewardship to even be married, right? To even have children and to be able to have grandchildren and think those are blessings extra added to our lives that are here. And so when I think about it, I'm like, you know what, Lord, thank you for trusting me enough to be able to bless me with those things that you've blessed me with so richly on earth, because you didn't have to do it. And so I just changed that into a gratitude and thanksgiving to God that He trusted me enough. So if He trusts you enough to be able to purchase a home, to be able to purchase things that you know that it was nobody but God that did it, then you know what? Take care of it. Take care of it, because He's expecting you to be a good steward over the things that He has blessed you with. And so if you leave here and you have not put these things in place, then you weren't being a good stewardship over the things that He blessed you with. So go back and check it, especially those that may be have parents or loved ones that are challenged. Please go ahead and do your power of attorney. If you own property, it's essential that you go ahead and get your trust done. Let me see. Yes, I know, Deidre. I know we don't talk about what we talk about on Fridays, but um, wow, if you could share a little, just be welcome to share a little of your testimony of you moving into your home, your husband passing away just as you guys were getting ready to move into your home. um, wow, that is something else. That's something else too. So those of you that may be just now purchasing your homes, and it's good to actually close your escrow through your with um, your trust. You can actually close your escrow in the name of the trust instead of having it, just your deed to both of you guys. And so that's another thing is you need to go back and check your deed. Find out that if you still have your loved one on there. I know some states are different. They're saying that it's costing money. Some people will tell you, different people are telling you different things. It should not cost you money to take your spouse, deceased spouse, off of the deed. But I'm hearing this. This is what they even said to my mom. But my mom stays in the same state, stays next door to her sister, and her sister said she just went and they took it off. So you're hearing a lot of different things. But you want to make sure if your spouse's name, you guys both names are on the deed, and if it's not, listen, go to the county clerk's office and add your name to the deed, right? It's as simple as, I believe, $27 versus you paying $40,000, $50,000 later down the line after you've had to go through the probate. And so you can add your name. Make sure that it says joint tenant with survivalship, because the verbiage is very important. If it just has both of your names and it does not say joint tenant with survivalship, then you can find yourself in probate when you decide to sell, or if you want to move or anything like that. You will have to go to the courts for the conservatorship. Make sure that if you have already lost your spouse, I don't want to say make sure, but because my mind is kind of going all over the place, but if you have already lost your spouse and there may be some investments um, on those accounts that your name was not on and you have not been able to get them, you can do a real estate property of unclaimed funds, and you are able to fill that paper out. If there's someone on this line that may need that information, just give me a call or send me a message in the DM. That is your loved ones, that is your parents. If you know that they may have had bank accounts and you may have walked away because you didn't know what to do because they told you you had to go through probate. If you're in the state of California, it's anywhere from 188,000. It can't be a house, it can't be a boat, but you are able to get your spouse's things if that person did not have a beneficiary. And that's as far as the next of kin. So it could be a parent or a sibling or something like that. Your next of kin, you can give the death certificate, fill out that form. If you don't know how to fill it out, I will help you fill it out, where you will be able to get your loved ones money that could have went through unclaimed property. It was another thing that I was listening to on that widows thing. It said something like, if you found out that your husband was somebody totally different than who you thought that person was. And so it kind of started showing things that that spouse had, whether it was a husband, it could have been a husband or a wife, and it started showing different things that spouse had that you had no idea about. And so I was kind of in that position. I didn't know my husband had extra insurance. I didn't know, I knew that he had investments. I did not know that he had invested as much as he had invested. And I used to see him, you know, doing his thing, but he just did his thing. Listen, if you had the household taken care of, that was good on my behalf. So, um, but there's secrets there that are revealed after your loved one has passed away. And so you want to make sure that you have the hard conversations again. For those of you that still have your spouses, be inquisitive and ask questions. Hey, do we have life insurance? If you're getting ready to retire anywhere here soon, okay, so you have that life insurance with your job. Are you able to keep that life insurance? Are you able to keep your medical benefits? What is going to happen after I lost my benefits? So I had to go and get on Medicare because I lost the benefits after my husband passed. Were not able to keep going. And so, say for instance, if he had an insurance policy for us both within the job, and now he's no longer here, so it's gone. So when you retire, are you going to have some life insurance separate from that? Or are they going to allow you to keep paying into that life insurance? Those are some things to think about, because now that we're getting a little older, it's a little bit more expensive to get life insurance at this late hour. You might be faced with an illness that you cannot get it. I've had some people tell me, hey, I couldn't get no life insurance because my husband had an illness, or my wife had an illness, and so I couldn't get it. I would suggest that you look into prepaying for your service. It's much cheaper. You're in a better state of mind, and you can make payments on being cremated. Have the conversation. Do you want to be cremated? Do you want to be laid to rest? Where do you want to be laid to rest? If you go and pay for those things at the cemetery and the mortuary ahead of time, it is much cheaper. I'm telling y'all, it's like half the cost for you to do it before you pass away. And so for those of you that may not be able to get any life insurance because of a medical condition, that's a way that you still would be able to get it, because it's difficult. I spent close to $30,000 on my husband's service, not thinking that I needed to live later. I won't say that I regret anything besides putting him in the mausoleum in a newer area where I wish I would have put him outside. And so, you know, it's just stuff like that. You don't make good decisions when you are in that grief and that loss, because you're in shock. And so I have been, last Saturday, the 1st of August, was my husband's 5-year anniversary. I mean, well, with his transition day. And so let me tell you guys something. This has been really, really rough on me. So I don't know what year is a better year. So for some of you that have already lost your spouses longer than that, like I see Sharon on here that had lost their spouses longer than that, I'm like, I need you guys to help me with this thing. I cannot believe that I'm still even, I won't say in denial, but I'm still struggling with this a little bit. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Are you serious? Like, I have him on my screensaver, and I just look at him and I'm like, are you serious? Like, are you serious? You have not came back here yet. And so I've been kind of, struggling with that, and happen to accept that he ain't coming back, right? So we'll meet again, on the other side, even though we won't be in the same position. That don't make it no better. Like when they started saying, well, there's no need for marriage in heaven, and I'm like, just bust our bubbles of wishing or something. So those of you that still have those boos in your corner and still have your loved ones with you, love on them. Keep making great memories. Keep celebrating them, is celebrating yourself. Be thankful, be grateful. Don't take them for granted that they're gonna be here forever. Listen, if I had any control over the fact of no one losing their loved one, I would not have this happen no more. But unfortunately, I don't have no control over that. And so as we continue to live, we're going to continue to lose loved ones. And so that's why it's so important to love on your loved ones as much as you can. Don't hold out against them, because listen, God is not listening to your prayers if you're holding out against your loved ones or against your enemies, because he says, listen, he's the one that's going to make your enemies your footstool. You ain't the one that's supposed to do that. And I know that's not good English, but you're not the one that's supposed to do that. God has everything all under control. He says in Isaiah, he says, listen, don't you mistreat the widow, the orphans, or the foreigners. He said, because if that widow cries out to me and I hear her, I will make your wife a widow and your children orphans. So you have to watch out how you treat people. You have to watch out how you treat your widows and widowers. You have to watch out how you treat the foreigners. You have to watch out how you treat the children that are orphans. What is going on here? That's not God at all. And you professing to be a Christian, that's not God at all. I don't know which God you serving, the God of darkness, when that's okay for you to just put people in cages, to round them up like they're not human because of the color of their skin. Come on here. Listen. I'm going to say this because I say it to myself, as my sister on here says. I say to you what I say to myself, what I say to my children, what I tell you guys to say to your children and your spouses is to get some insurance. Get some life insurance for our adult children. Listen, we can't carry them, especially us that don't have no spouse anymore. But at the same time, this is not time for us to sit down and be mealy-mouthed and close our mouths. This is the time to really get down back to where we come from before, back where we used to have our grandparents and our mothers would be down praying. I looked at my grandmother and I just thought to myself, whew, Lord, I don't know how. I've never met a person like her before that really did what the Bible told you to do, what the Word of God told you to do. My mom, they complained and everything because we had to have devotion. We had to have, when my grandmother would come in town, we would have devotion. We would have, when we woke up in the morning, we had to have devotion. I seen her on her knees, and I try to think to myself, when I get down on my knees, I said, Lord Jesus, I don't know how my grandma was getting down on her knees, because let me tell you something, baby. These knees right here, I don't know. You know how you just try to lay in the bed, but I've always seen my grandma on her knees, interceding I mean, interceding all the time. And so as I have been struggling with prayer and trying to get back to the place where I know I need to be, I'm like, Lord Jesus, help us, Lord. This is not the time to faint. This ain't the time to be, mealy mouthed and not saying nothing, not opening our mouths, not praying out to God. We are so consumed with the things of the world and the things that we do that entertain us, especially Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. All of those things have consumed so much of our lives that we have not taken the time to really pray. We are doing like drive-through prayers when we leave out the yard, when we leave, home, and then when we come back home. And then we got to halfway be remembered to say, thank you, Lord, for bringing me back home. Oh yeah, I'm sidetracked. Here I am on Temu. I'm watching this, I'm watching that. I'm trying to watch a little word. And I'm all over the place, you guys. I'm like, come on, Crystal, you got to bring this thing in. Listen, this is late in the hour. We got to get on our knees again and start praying for our children and our grandchildren, because we're going to lose them. The only thing I say this is that I hold on to, no matter what it looks like, no matter what my children are doing out there. But one thing I do hold on to is that the Lord said that if you bring them up in the fear and the admiration of the Lord, when they depart, they'll come back. So I'm standing on that. Now I'm not saying that just to see it when I'm gone. No, I want to see it while I'm here. That's my prayer. Lord, I want to see them saved and serving you while I'm here on earth. Even though I know that he says, listen, you're going to leave this inheritance to your children's children. So because we didn't have the book of how to raise children, we did the best that we can do, right? But God gives us another chance when we have grandchildren, we have godchildren, we have stepchildren. So he gives us another chance to get it right. He gives us that grace, because have you guys noticed how the grandchildren just love us? I had my grandkids here with me. I had 3 of them here with me. They adore me. They just love me. It's a special type of love that a grandparent has and that the children have. And I don't know what that is, but child, let me tell you, my grandkids love me and I love them too. And I'm just so thankful and grateful to God for blessing me so richly with that. So he says, listen, that's why he said for your children's children, that inheritance, it will go down to the children's children. Now, how are you going to just leave here and don't have it together? And so everything just goes to the state. You leave it because, let me tell you something, that probate is a booger. My niece and nephew can tell you that, what they went through. And I tell you, when I tell you that the men in my life worked until their last dying breath day. So can you imagine working so hard and the state takes what you work so hard for? Or do you have the attitude of, I don't care, I ain't gonna be here anyway? That's not a good attitude to have. That is not a good attitude to have. And so we want to leave our inheritance, because he says a good man. So you can't be like, oh, you know what, I'm just holier than thou person. But he says a good man, a good person. When God says man, he's talking about the male and the female, because Adam is who called us the female. And so when he says it in his word, he's talking about mankind, period. So that means all of us. So a good man, a good woman leaves an inheritance for his children's children. What does that look like for you? So we have to stop procrastinating, as we often do, as I did when my husband was here, as we did, not adding my name. At the same time, let me tell you something. God wastes nothing. Even though we didn't do that, we didn't have our stuff together, look what he's birthed out of this. Look what he's birthed out of me losing my husband. He's an amazing God. You know, he says, many are the plans in a man's heart, but what God has for you, what he allowed you to come to earth for, is going to prevail over all that we thinking about. We're trying to find out how we going to get rich, how we going to get this, how we going to get that. And he's like, I've just got to show you. I'm going to let you sit there, because if you get the big head, if you think you get too far ahead of me and you think you can do this on your own again, let me show you something. I'm going to allow some difficult times to happen so that you'll know that, and they'll know, the people will know that it's me. It's God that allows us to be able to carry on and pay the things that we need to pay, right? Even though we complain because there's things that we want to do. We have in our heart we want to do. We want to do this. We want to do that. We want to, do stuff. But when we really think about it, we are abundantly blessed. We have a roof over our head. We ain't out on the street. And even though we're riding, we could be riding in the cars that we don't necessarily want to ride in. I did not want no car note, you guys. Lord have mercy, I didn't want a car note. But, Lord, I didn't want no car note. I'm still trusting God. I'm going to say that. I'm going to put it in the atmosphere. I am trusting God that my mortgage is going to be paid off, and that my car note is going to be paid off, and that I am not going to have sleepless, restless nights, night after night, of how is he going to do it? Because I can tend to throw myself out there real far like that fishing rod. And sometimes I say, Crystal, reel yourself back in. Because listen, I'm worried about stuff. I don't even know if I'm going to be here. We don't even know if we're going to be here. I'm worried about stuff a couple of years from now. I'm already out in a couple of years ahead of me. So, what? You don't worry for what? You don't even know if you're going to be here. Listen. He says each day, he says, look, the cares of this day is enough. So don't even worry about whatever. If you say you trust me, then trust me that I'm going to do it. Okay? So I love you guys. Thank y'all for coming on today. Every time I get on here and I be thinking to myself, I don't know what you got to say to these people, Lord. I don't know what I got to say, but I just wanted to come on and be transparent with you guys. Maybe some of you may be in a little struggle like me, and all I can say is pray for me as I pray for you. And I just don't want to be that very elect that's deceived because of what's been going on in my life. Yeah. All right. I love you guys. Please like, tag, and share. Oh, thank you guys so much for your comments. Thank you guys so much for your comments. Oh my goodness. I love you guys so much. And please like, tag, and share. And yes, please keep me lifted up in prayer. It has been, it's something has to be, great happening or coming up, because the enemy has been really fighting. He knows that he's running out of time, right? And so, he's just that roaring lion that ain't doing nothing but roaring. And so I found out today that, hey, that the lion, the only thing that is not afraid of the roaring lion is another lion. And so we have the Lion of Judah in us, right? Because of what God done for us already, because of what Christ did for us already, we have to come back up with that roar when that roaring lion comes to seek who he can devour. We got to come back up on him with our sword of the Spirit and with our feet shod with the preparation of peace. So that's, it's like, wait a minute, hold on. Now we got to start using this stuff that we've been learning every Sunday when we're going and when we're hearing the word of God. We have to start turning that thing around him. Nope, that's not what the word says. Those thoughts that we have to pull into captivity, because he's always trying to exalt himself higher than God. And so we have to pull those strongholds down and say, you know what? Nope, I am a child of God. I have not did anything wrong. That is not why my husband died. That is not why I'm in the predicament that I'm in. It's because I did something wrong. No, Christ has paid it all in full. All of every sin that I will do and every sin that I've done. I will not negate the fact that Christ died for me on the cross. I will not negate the fact that he had a thorn over his head for his mind, just for our mind, those stripes that he did on his back, for our sicknesses and for our diseases. How dare our bodies be attacked by the things that try to attack our bodies. And because we keep saying, I've decided to say this, that when my body is attacked, Lord, I thank you for my healing. I stand in my healing. I stand in my healing every day that you're going to touch my body. There's going to be one day when my back, the report that I got is not going to be so. I shall believe the report of the Lord. And so I have to stand on that until he comes back. No matter what it looks like, what does his word say? He says, my word will not return to me void. So he has to keep his promise. So that means that I have to keep standing and not allow the enemy to bombard my mind with why this happened and why that happened and why this is happening and why that's happening for this person and that person. And I think because we put God in a box of like a mere man, like we do one another, how we get mad at one another, or we disagree with one another, or we're unforgiving to one another. So we put God in that same thing. And so when you feel like I don't really trust God neither, because I can't trust man. But the truth is, he's the only person that you can trust. Man will fail you all the time. And so whether it's your spouse, your parent, or whatever, God is the only one that will never fail you. And even when you feel like he is not there with you, because there has been times I have been feeling like, God, where are you at? I ain't hearing. And so I've heard that sometimes when you don't hear him, it doesn't mean that he ain't working on your behalf. And so I have to accept that. If that's what I'm taught, if that's what the word says, sometimes he's quiet and you don't hear anything. And sometimes, but it doesn't mean that he's not working on your behalf. It doesn't mean that he is not with you. Because I have said that, I was like, I don't know where he at, because I know I hear him, and I know without a shadow of a doubt when I hear from God. And so he has been kind of quiet, or it may be that he's been speaking through somebody else and my world has been very noisy that I couldn't hear him. That could be what it is, because my world has been very noisy. And so I'm going to have to pull back and maybe fast or something, because my world has been noisy to the fact that it's been hard for me to pray and to talk to God without being distracted. So I love you guys. Please like, tag, and share. And I will see you guys next Sunday if the Lord says the same. But yeah. Alrighty. Bye-bye. Love you guys.